Staying alone in a small cabin in the middle of the stunning forests of North Carolina was like a bit of an adventure for Alex. However, he should have known very well what the closing time really meant during this night. Inside the hut, the only thing besides the stove, except for the dimness of the candlelight and the rustle of the forest, was silence. Alex loved this silence. He found his inner peace in this silence. But as the night progressed, he began to feel a strangeness inside the hut. On the first night, while Alex was rummaging through the old things of the hut, he encountered a strange feeling. Deck. What he felt was the silence within the silence. Everything seemed still. He could hear only the rustling of the forest and the sound of his own pulse. On the second night, while sleeping in the bedroom of the hut, he saw a shadow slowly moving through the room. When he rubbed his eyes and looked again, the shadow had disappeared. But this disappearing shadow dragged him into the depths of his dreams. In his dreams, Alex felt as if he was lost in the depths of the forest. As the night advanced, the rustling of the forest became more and more intense. But something in the forest was approaching him. The figures in the dreams were inviting him to wake up from the dream. On the third night, the strangeness inside the hut began to increase. Things began to move by themselves. The intensity of the silence seemed to have become almost a physical thing. Alex could no longer ignore these unusual events. Deck. On the fourth night, Alex decided to study the old logs of the hut. The diaries contained the records of the past owners of the cottage. Alex found strange events in the diaries that happened during the closing time of the cottage. The former owners claimed the existence of a living entity inside the hut. On the fifth night, Alex decided to solve the strange events inside the hut. The silence and the shadow inside the house tried to solve the secret of the figures. Finally, he managed to restore the soul of an ancient being who lived inside the hut to peace. The silence of the hut was now peaceful, and Alex agreed to live alone in this quiet house. The rustling of the forest represented inner peace for him now. The silence and the past of the hut had now turned into a new beginning. Emma, who lives in a historic neighborhood of New Orleans, had to stay at home alone for one night because her family was out of town. The wooden floors and the old structure of the house have always been a symbol of tranquility for him, but tonight he was hiding something else. On the night of her parents' date, Emma decided to enjoy the silence. It was quiet inside the house, just like old times. But as the night slowly advanced, this silence began to disturb him. He was getting goosebumps, as if he felt that something was waiting for him. On the first night, Emma decided to sleep in her bedroom. But after a while, a strange flash of light from the bedroom window woke him up from his sleep. As he approached the window, he noticed the presence of strange figures outside. The figures, it seemed, surrounded the house, but no matter how close they got, they weren't making any noise. On the second night, Emma's dreams were filled with strange figures. The figures seemed to be calling him home, but he did not understand what they wanted. When he stayed awake, the silence in the house still drove him crazy. On the third night, strange events began inside the house. Things started moving by themselves. The room's lights were turning on and off by themselves. Emma tried to solve these strange events, but she could not find an explanation. On the fourth night, Emma decided to investigate the history of the house. As he studied the history of the house, he learned about strange events that happened in the neighborhood. In ancient times, there had been a number of mysterious disappearances in this neighborhood. The people had not been seen again after one night. On the fifth night, Emma decided to solve the mystery inside the house. He explored every corner of the house, trying to find out the meaning of the figures. Finally, he found an old diary, and this diary revealed the mysterious past of the house. He learned that the figures living inside the house were the ghosts of the former residents of the neighborhood. They were the reasons behind the mysterious disappearances in the neighborhood. These figures were inviting Emma to solve the secret in the house. In the end, Emma fulfilled the request of the figures and revealed the secrets of the neighborhood. These figures could now return to their homes in peace. Emma, her silence and history at home had now turned into a new beginning, and she was waiting to share this experience when her family returned home, having solved the mysteries of this neighborhood. Amy, who lives in a quiet village in Iowa, had to stay at home alone for one night due to her family who were traveling on business. She usually liked the silence and solitude of the house, but tonight was different. After the family left, Amy started reading books in the living room after eating. But after a while, he started hearing strange noises in the kitchen. At first, he thought it was caused by the wind, but the sounds gradually began to increase. Amy approached the sounds coming from the kitchen and suddenly found herself at the center of these strange events. Pot lids were flying off the kitchen counter, plates were bouncing, and kitchen cupboards were opening and closing. In fear, he was sure that there was not a single living being in the kitchen. When silence filled the house again, Amy thought that the strange phenomena in the kitchen were a dream. He returned to his room and immersed himself in his book again. But this time his dreams caught up with him. In her dreams, she began to discover terrible secrets from the house's past. Dreams were revealing the mysterious past of his family and the village. These terrible secrets were the keys to the strange events that took place in the village. Amy realized that her dreams helped to reveal terrible truths. But after these dreams, strange events in the house increased. Things began to move by themselves. The source of the sounds was unclear, and the figures in her dreams began to appear inside the house. In the end, Amy, while waiting for her family to return, decided to solve the secrets of the house. Following the clues of his dreams, he reached the old church of the village. There, he discovered a terrible truth. A strange ceremony performed in the past of the village had released the strange beings who lived inside the house. Amy decided to reverse the ceremony so that she could imprison these beings again. When he reversed the ceremony in the village church, strange beings returned to the house. When her parents finally returned, Amy told them about the terrible experience she had gone through. But the silence in the house was no longer scary, but peaceful. The silence and the past of the house had now turned into a new beginning for Amy. The quiet village of Iowa was now opening the door to a new life for him.